Hello and welcome. Today, we're going to dive into something that, well, it affects all of us. Why learning as an adult feels so completely different from when we were kids. We're going to unpack the science behind it and give you a super practical framework you can start using like today.
So, have you ever been there? Sitting in a training session, maybe trying to pick up a new skill, and just thinking to yourself, ugh, this just isn't sticking the way it used to. I mean, it's not just you. That feeling of frustration, that need for things to be immediately useful, that's a universal adult experience.
And it turns out there's a real science dedicated to exactly this. It's called Andragogy. It's kind of the instruction manual for the adult brain when it comes to learning. And trust me, understanding it is a total game changer. Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about what makes adult learning unique. Then we're going to walk through the 4 pillars, one by one. Self-concept, experience, readiness, and motivation. And finally, we'll tie it all together to see what it means to be a modern learner. Let's do it.
Right. So let's start with the basics. Think of this as laying the foundation for a whole new way of understanding how we, as grown-ups, actually absorb and use new information. These are the big 4, the pillars that hold up the entire structure of adult learning. Each one is a fundamental shift from how we learned as kids. We're about to break down what each one means for you, right here, right now.
First up, pillar number 1, your self-concept. This is a big one. It's all about our deep internal need to be in control, to be in the driver's seat of our own lives.
You know, as kids, we were basically told what to learn, when to learn, and how to learn it. But as adults, we have this deep understanding that we are responsible for our own choices. And that sense of ownership, it absolutely extends to our learning. We have to be active participants, not just passive listeners. Here's a little tip. The next time you have to learn something, find a way to make it your decision to solve your problem.
And this really shows how that works. As adults, we see ourselves as the star of our own show, right? We're at the very center of our own growth. We don't just get a pile of facts to memorize. We actively choose which pieces to use and how they fit together. We are literally building who we are, day by day. Learning isn't just something that happens to us anymore. It's a tool we use to shape our own identity.
Okay, let's move on to our second pillar, prior experience. Now, if your self-concept puts you in the driver's seat, then your past experience is the engine, the map, and all the roads you've already traveled. It is, without a doubt, your single greatest learning asset.
Every single adult walks into a room with this enormous reservoir of experience, and it's not just a bunch of old stories. It's an active filter that colors how you see and interpret everything new. It's the mental framework you use to hang new ideas on.
So, and this is key, that experience isn't baggage, it's a seriously powerful tool. It literally shapes how you make sense of new stuff. It lets you build bridges from what you already know to what you need to learn. Try this. Next time you learn something new, just pause and ask yourself, hey, what does this remind me of from my past? When you do that, you're actively turning that raw life experience into solid, usable knowledge.
Which brings us perfectly to our third pillar, your readiness to learn. This one is all about timing. It's about our deep-seated need for things to be relevant right now.
Yeah, so unlike kids who are just sort of learning for some distant future, we adults are most ready to learn things that help us deal with what's happening in our lives today. Getting a promotion, a new job, becoming a parent. Those life transitions are what trigger our readiness to learn. We learn what we need when we need it. This is exactly why just-in-time learning is so powerful for adults. If you need it for a project that's due this Friday, you better believe your brain is ready to soak it up.
And this comparison just lays it all out, doesn't it? As a kid, everything is about the future. You're learning stuff to prepare for someday. But as an adult, your feet are planted firmly in the present. The goal isn't to get ready for some hypothetical future, it's to get the tools and knowledge you can use immediately.
All right, on to our final pillar, inner motivation. This gets to the heart of why. Why do we, as adults, bother to learn anything new? It's definitely not for a gold star from the teacher. This is the core of it, right here. We don't learn about a subject just for the sake of it. We learn project management to fix our chaotic projects. We learn a new coding language to solve a nagging inefficiency in our work. Our motivation comes from within, and it's all about solving real-world problems. So the big takeaway here is to always know what problem you're trying to solve before you start learning. That clarity is your fuel. And this quote from Boutonnet just nails it. It basically says that the experiences we collect throughout our lives actually change our whole approach to learning.
We shift from being focused on general topics or themes to being laser-focused on specific problems. Our life experience literally rewires our brains to be problem-solving machines.
So let's put it all together now. We've looked at these 4 pillars on their own, but their real power is in how they work together, how they define what it means to be a modern adult learner.
And here they are, all in one place. Your need for autonomy, the power of your experience, your readiness to tackle immediate challenges, and your internal motivation to find solutions. Look, these aren't just abstract ideas. They are the 4 essential supports for any kind of meaningful, effective learning you're going to do for the rest of your life.
So I'll leave you with the question to chew on. Now that you've seen this framework of the 4 pillars, which one really jumps out at you? Which one explains the most about your own successes and maybe your frustrations with learning? Because understanding your own wiring is always the first step to becoming a better, more effective learner. Thanks so much for tuning in.